Hello everyone, welcome to Futbol the Europa podcast episode 4. Today alongside me is Carlos, who is a long-time Real Madrid fan. Welcome Carlos, and also Sean, who is a Manchester United fan. Welcome Sean, how are you?
Good, thank you for having me today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure for us. So, let's talk about Champions League and Europa League for like 8 phenomenal games this season. And let's talk about Manchester City's loss, which is against Tottenham. So, what are your thoughts about that, Sean?
The loss didn't really come as a surprise for me, really. When I saw the lineup, don't look at me like that. When I saw the lineup, I was just like, all right, they put Fabian Delph up against Son Heung-min. I was just like, what is Pep Guardiola doing? So, for me, it's if Kane had stayed on, the scoreline might have been bigger, in my opinion. And like, honestly, the Pep's stats for away Champions League ties, he actually, in the past 10 years, has only won 5 away legs out of 25 matches. So he seems to have this thing that he doesn't like to attack a lot. He likes to possess the ball a lot. I was watching the highlights, and it turns out being, well, I mean, if he played Delph, he played, what's his name again? Mahrez over Sane, not putting Laporte back into centre back, and having not playing Stones and not playing what's the other guy's name? No, Sane and Sane was on the bench. Mahrez played, and not playing Stones. Yes, that's the one. I think he didn't play one more, but I can't remember. Maybe that was the other match. But yeah, not playing those two against what was basically the same team for the past 2 years for Tottenham. They didn't buy a player in the summer or January when, I don't know what Guardiola was doing, basically.
I was not that surprised by the lineup as such. I mean, it was a little conservative, but I did expect it to be a little conservative because they got out. In the first leg last year, they lost 5-0 or 5-1 or something like that. So I kind of expected that. But what I was really disappointed was his approach. He seemed to, Pep Guardiola suddenly turned into Jose Mourinho, and he got a Jose Mourinho result also in the game. So I was very surprised by the way he did it. And his substitutions, everything was weird, man. I mean, from the 77th to 78th minute, they scored the goal. And he brings De Bruyne and Sane in the 89th minute. De Bruyne, yeah. He brought De Bruyne and Sane in the 89th minute. I'm like, what for? What are you playing for? I didn't understand why he was so un-Pep for no reason.
Yeah, and I was reading an article which said that Pep is too conservative when it comes to Champions League, that he is always scared of the counter-attacks, he's always too cautious, and he doesn't really play as he normally would in a league game.
But why?
Yeah, maybe it's just something in his psyche that he's afraid of. It's always in the knockout stages in each and every competition that whenever you play a possession-based game, it's most likely that you will have 1 or 2 counterattacks and you will fall in that. Even in Germany in 2018 World Cup, that was the case. Even with Spain in 2018 World Cup, that was the case. Even with teams like Barcelona in Champions League, you have seen for the past 3 seasons. And even with Bayern Munich, which till some extent plays possession-based football, that was the case. And even with Manchester City, you could see in the past seasons. And there is no particular team in Europe which does well in knockout stages with possession-based football. Even in Europa League, you would see teams like Sevilla doing well because they rely more on direct football. So possession-based football is more like, okay, we'll control the match for 75 minutes in total, but in the other 15 minutes, you will be hurt on counter attacks because you cannot maintain the same level of same stamina, same passing excellency, same mindset. So it will happen. You will fall to the counter attacks, and that's what the other teams wait for. They know that okay, we'll have one or two opportunities, and we will capitalize on them. So it's more like Jose Mourinho's approach, and how he defeated Barcelona in 2010, and that's pretty much what Tottenham did, I guess.
Do you think Tottenham will win the tie?
You know what Pep Guardiola said? That sometimes a 1-0 loss is better than a 0-0 draw.
That in a way, I agree to that. A 0-0 draw is a horrible result. It doesn't really, in a two-legged tie, a 0-0 draw doesn't really, it's neither this way nor that way.
Yeah.
But this is slightly better, I feel.
Yeah. It's also a psychological benefit for the team which is on losing side and which is going to play at home later on. If you see if Atletico Madrid didn't win the first leg 2-0, I don't see Juventus coming back 3-0 in the second leg, to be very frank, because that's when you wake up, that's when you get the extra ambition and you know that okay, we are playing at home, and then you go on for the extra mile. Otherwise you just take a back seat, okay, it's 0-0, okay, we can manage it somehow. So you get the cushion, and that's what matters, I guess.
He'll need an impressive home record to turn this tie around. Whatever his home record in Champions League is, he'll need it to turn the tie around.
I didn't check the stats on that one, but like, yeah, you mentioned De Bruyne. I don't know why he didn't put on De Bruyne and Sane the moment they conceded. I was just like, oh yeah, he put on I can't remember who, but yeah, you got Sane, Jesus, yes. You got Sane and you got De Bruyne on the bench, and you got probably tired legs in like Danny Rose. You can do the counter attack, and he did it. And yeah, I mean, it's a bit unfortunate that Kane got injured. Was Dele Alli injured as well?
No, Dele Alli is not injured, I guess. It's only Kane. Yep.
Only Kane, right? Yeah. And like, I saw the penalty at 12 minutes. Was it? Yeah.
Yeah. Now that's Rio Ferdinand said that the most of the people who make the rules are not players themselves, and if you see technically it was a handball, it was out of the natural position, it was intentional, but as a player, if you have played the game, you know that that's pretty much what the player can do at that moment, and that's not a penalty if you see from the player's perspective. And for me, it's a penalty, of course, but it's a sad one. But it goes either way. If it was for the other side, it would have been the same. So, yeah.
Normally, when you're sliding, I disagree a little bit with the Rio on this because when you're sliding, I don't think you should raise your hand. Like, you can slide with your hand behind your back. I feel when you are in motion, you're jumping. That time it's difficult to keep your hand behind your back and jump, especially in real time. But when you're sliding, I think you should normally do it. He did a similar tackle. Danny Rose did a very similar type of slide tackle in the second half where he put his hand behind his back. So I felt like, I don't know, that's a hard call.
Yeah, most of the defenders like Maldini, Ramos, Varane, all are cautious about that. They usually, even when they are going for a tackle in, like, not even a tackle, but even they are chasing a player, then also they keep their hands at the back, and it's more of a intuition, I guess, because sometimes when you know that you're in front of the goal, you just raise your hand, son. Like, okay, maybe a penalty can be saved, but this shot is going in, so you take the risk for that. And moving on, we should also talk about Pochettino's masterclass. It wasn't a masterclass, but still, he needs some credit for the win, especially in his home stadium.
I'm not I think he played good. They definitely did play good, but it's hard to like give him that much credit because I felt Man City was so like non-Man City. I don't know why. Not I don't know. They were just not themselves. It's so weird to watch them. I felt like like I'm thinking the only reason probably he did not substitute players immediately after he conceded is because for some reason he felt he would lose 2-0. Like that's the only I can think, like, go back and win, let's not lose bigger or something like that. I didn't understand his viewpoint at that point of time. It was so unlike him. So I mean, not that I have anything against Poch. He's a great coach. He has done great. What he's done at Spurs is great. I don't think anybody can do what he has done over such a long period. I mean, the only other probably bigger achievement was Leicester winning. But apart from that, for so many years to consistently do this with hardly any budget is quite great. So yeah, it was good, but it's hard to give him full credit. It'll be interesting to see how the league match happens before the next match.
Yeah, now this face Manchester City twice in the next span of a week or two. Yep. And yeah, it is interesting. Also, Manchester City would be like, okay, we cannot win 3 matches in a row against Spurs, and losing one would give them some leverage. Okay, we have had our loss, and now we can draw one and win one. Anyways, moving on, we should talk about Liverpool versus Porto. And it wasn't really much of a surprise that Liverpool won at their home, and it wasn't a surprise the way they won. I really don't see Porto coming back from this tie, and it will be interesting if Manchester City come back in the second leg and if they face Liverpool in the semi-final. And Klopp versus Pep Guardiola has always been an interesting battle. It's
Are
pretty
they in the
much
same
for Klopp.
bracket though?
I don't know.
I don't think they're in the same bracket. I'm not sure, but I don't think that they are in the same bracket.
Yeah. Anyways, but they can either meet in the final also, if possible. Yep.
I want both of them to go through, because then the EPL race is very interesting. I find that's the only reason I want
Yeah.
both of them to go through.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Sean? As a United fan, Manchester City or Liverpool?
Honestly, Manchester City,
Yeah, I get it.
because they've won recently, so that's fine. So I'd rather Liverpool not be winning anything at all. It's not helped by the fact that yesterday there was this Liverpool fan from the law faculty running around during one of the sports games. So that I have that little Liverpool recent memory of that. But yeah, I mean, surprisingly, watching the highlights from that game, I was surprised the scoreline wasn't bigger. There was this moment where they had a counter attack and Salah just did something so un-Salah-esque, where he
It is Salah's right now. In his current moment in form, it is very Salah's.
Yeah.
Not scoring.
Yeah, that's true. But like, what he did was just from his goal highlight reels. I was just like, oh yeah, he took a low drive shot to the right side of the keeper. I was just like, why didn't he chip the keeper?
Yeah, that was very interesting and a horrific miss from his standard.
He lacks confidence right now. Generally, I felt, and
Which is good for me.
and
course.
yeah, I felt they could win this. I think they could easily win this 4-0. I think there was also Firmino volley, which probably could have gone in. That's quite hard, but
Yeah,
they could have won it 4-0.
yeah.
I think Liverpool advancing is more or less decided.
Yeah.
I'd like to see City advance, and then I think the EPL tie
See-
will be interesting.
If you see from the tactical point of view, Liverpool were all for the counter-attacking and direct kind of football, and they dismantled Porto's defense. Dismantled. And if they face Manchester City, I don't see Pep Guardiola pulling this one off. In no particular way. I'm sorry for you, Sean, but I really don't see Liverpool losing to City in the Champions League if they face.
Look, weirder things have happened this Champions League. As this year's Champions League have shown, first leg ties and results don't matter. Especially with the PSG Man U game and the Juventus Ajax game.
Yep.
I mean, no, Juventus Atletico game, and like, I mean, it shows how much one person can turn the game around. I mean, for me, especially this season with just Ronaldo going to Juventus, is just different.
Yep. I think if Aguero had scored that penalty, it would have been a different result. Because it changes the momentum, it increases the confidence of the team which denied the penalty. And anyway, moving on, I
That was
think
a brilliant save by Lloris.
yeah,
as
it
well.
was a brilliant save, world class. So a lot of people don't talk about this side, and I think it will end up winning the Champions League, and which is Ajax. And I know I will upset a lot of fans out around the world, especially CR7 fans, but Ajax are really the dark horses. And what are your thoughts about that?
They
Carlos?
played really good. They played very fearlessly. They played so good. I was not expecting them to play so good. I genuinely think they were unlucky to come out of this match as a draw. But you have to give credit to Juventus. This is really how Juve have been playing for the last maybe 2 years, I would say. They generally don't play great in a lot of matches. They're not dominant. That's not their style also, but I'm not talking in terms of just their style. That you would expect a team with so many world-class players against so many kids to play much better. But they really did not dominate anything at all. The fact that they needed Cristiano coming from injury to score, coming from injury, out of injury, and then scoring that goal against such a team.
He is not fully recovered right now, and he will miss the next league game.
Yeah, but that's my point. No, that they needed a.
Yeah, Allegri has confirmed that I will not take any risks.
So that's the point. So he's not fully fit. That they needed somebody of, somebody who enters the GOAT debate. They needed somebody like that to dismantle Ajax.
Yeah, if you see from a holistic, perspective, then Cristiano didn't really have a very good game. It's very CR7 like that. He will have 1 or 2 moments in the game and he will capitalize, and that's it. He may not have the full impact over the 90 minutes, but he will get one chance and he will score for you. And that's what
he's
happens.
that kind of a player. So
yeah, so but you see from the comments of players like De Jong, and they were very confident about the tie. They were like, okay, we need Ronaldo to play so that we can prove that we are not fluke and we can win with him, without him, no worries, we will beat them.
They played really well.
And they have executed it against Real Madrid, they have executed against Juve, and I really don't see how this team cannot win the Champions League right now.
It's crazy how mentality can just change the game. I mean, in terms of Ajax being with all the youths, and then you look at the team, like, off the top of my head, let's just go with like PSG with all their, not because Man U won, it's just PSG with all their players that they bought, like them not being dominant. It's sort of like a mentality to that, I would say. And like Carlos said, with Juventus not having that sort of like over dominant, I don't know how to put it, over dominant form when they're playing, right? Even with all the world class players that they have, it could be down to their coach, their tactics itself. And like I thought that Juve could have come out with a better scoreline just solely from Cristiano Ronaldo, but Ajax themselves, they've proven time and time again they can come in with their own academy players and prove a point to the bigger clubs.
When you spoke about mentality, I was thinking, I just realized something. It could be like, one, because they have nothing to lose. They're actually already overachieving. That's A. 2, most of them are a lot of kids or younger players. Basically, it's a great stage for them. But if you look at it, De Jong has already been sold to Barcelona. There's a lot of chance that MDL will go at the end of the season. Neres, I think, now should have a huge market, and so should a lot of other Ajax players. I feel that this group is very similar to the last Ajax team that won the Champions League, where immediately after they won the Champions League, they disintegrated into and was sold out across to various teams. That was the Kluivert era. So I think that is going to happen at the end of the season, and I think somehow the players know it, that this is going to happen. So they're playing very fearlessly, and I think that could. Like I still think Juve will get through this, but I think that could be a propelling factor for them. And like I wouldn't be surprised if they still win it.
Yeah, and Sean was talking about comparisons with PSG, and it's like, you recall that Cruyff quote which said that if you have strong players in each position, then you have strong 11s. And if you have a team, and then it's a different story altogether.
Cruyff, yeah.
Yeah, Johan Cruyff.
If you have the 11 best players in each position, you still have only 11 best players.
11 ones, yeah.
Yeah, 11 ones.
Then if you have the whole team which plays together, and that's a different thing. And even now, even in today's date, you can see that Cruyff's philosophy being followed by Ajax. The same kind of gameplay is being followed. The cluster of chaos, like when they have to win possession, they are like, all of the players are on one player, and
intense pressing,
very intense. And the interesting part is they don't tire out for the whole 90 minutes. They will carry out the same execution of the plan. It's not like, okay, they have pressed in first half, now in the second half they will fall apart, they wouldn't be able to press, they are tired, and they will be hurt on counter attacks. It's not happening. They carry on for the whole 90 minutes, and that's what is very fantastic about them.
Correct. I think, like I said, that mentality part is there. Part of the being youthful fearlessness, and maybe probably this is the last season that this crowd will be there together.
Like you said, the game plan compared to Manchester United, not following it in the second half.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't know how to put it, because Ajax is a very unique side this season, because you cannot really compare it to any of the sides in Champions League. Neither the teams which have played or which have been eliminated or stuff. But it's a unique side in its own. Like, yeah, Barcelona fans would love to compare themselves to Ajax, but Barcelona is no Ajax this season. They are playing totally different kind of football.
But that brings us very nicely to the next game, which is the Barcelona United game.
Yep, and that's the perfect way to put it. And it's a very good result for United, to be honest. Like, 1-0 loss, that's not a bad result against Barcelona.
But they lost at home. I don't think so. They will be. I can't see like them scoring 2 goals at Camp Nou.
Weirder things have happened.
Celta Vigo could score 4 against Barcelona, so why not United? It's possible. It's possible.
Yeah, but Celta Vigo.
Barca's problem is not the attack. They can score the goals. That's not an issue. The issue is, can they defend against likes of Suarez, Messi in form in Camp Nou? Like, I know they contained them in Old Trafford, but in Camp Nou it's a different story altogether.
So for me is that scoreline was good, because hearing the fans cheer the whole time, I was just like, oh yeah, fair enough. They've got 12 men behind them. And then there was a very unfortunate deflection by Shaw, if I'm being honest. It would have gone in either way, but for it to be considered an own goal, I was just like, yeah, all right, fine. But the problem was that they didn't utilize what could have been a lot of pace against what I feel is an aging Barcelona side. Because Barcelona right now, in my point of view, I'm a huge for me, what I'm first and foremost, I'm a Manchester United supporter, and then going into La Liga, I support Barcelona, and then so this tie was a bit
Emotional for you.
emotional for me. But the problem with Barcelona right now is just that they rely a lot on Messi and Suarez.
Yeah,
And
talking about the aging squad, even Busquets was out
Busquets.
of touch. Like, he had a terrible game from Busquets. Like, you never expect this from Busquets.
So did Messi. He didn't have a great game.
Messi is still, you could say that he had a knock and stuff, but Busquets was making tackles which weren't need to be made. He was making fouls which weren't they were unforced errors.
Honestly, Busquets had honestly such a bad game. Okay, let's be honest. Young was the worst player in the field. Zero crosses connected out of the 11 he made. I was just like, we could have put anyone there. We could have put, I don't know, any one of our soccer players from Australia, and they'll probably have crossed better. If I'm being honest, it was.
Yeah, I get it. But
They didn't use the pace really well, though. I was thinking because you were saying that there was not a lot of pace, but Young did go forward a lot, and they managed to use. But he had no output. I get your point. I get where you're coming from.
you see, statistically, no team has taller players than Manchester United. Yeah, it's like 5 or 6 of them.
They have Pogba, Lukaku, Lindelof, all 6 foot.
Rashford and stuff. Yeah,
six
so
and
they
above.
are all.
You don't really know this when you start watching.
Yeah, so it's like PK was the only tall one for the Barcelona who was clearing all the headers and stuff. So it's like similar to Real Madrid's tactics under Zidane. They cross the ball, someone will be there in the box.
Yeah.
Maybe Ramos will run from behind, maybe Ronaldo, maybe Benzema, and someone will head it. And that's pretty much what United were looking at.
Yeah, but the key thing, I think, to the second leg coming in is that a big part of it would be to aim for Busquets. With the way McTominay and Fred played, I felt that they should have bossed the midfield a little bit more, because I think I'm no football tactics expert here, but it looks like Barcelona were pressing on the sides a lot. I think I don't know, but Busquets having lack of pace right now, especially how old is he?
Yeah,
Damn.
he's close to retirement now.
Yeah, clear. And like with McTominay, I mean, did you see the video where Moreno was just praising him?
Yes,
so
I was
much?
coming to that. As a huge Jose Mourinho fan, I would say that United shall thank Jose Mourinho more for McTominay. And back then, they weren't really happy about Jose Mourinho talking about him over Pogba and stuff. But yeah, the lad really deserves more credit for the performance he put in. One more point I would like to add is that Barcelona haven't really been pressed this season at all, and whenever they are pressed, they have faltered.
Even
And
in the
if
United game, yeah, only for that
Yeah.
15-20 minutes where
Yeah.
that they pressed well.
Yeah, that's
United
what I'm
had-
saying. And if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer noted it well, and if he executes it in Camp Nou, then we could see a remarkable comeback against Barcelona.
He has no choice because if he wants to win, he'll have to press them hard,
Yep.
and he'll have to be open for the counter attacks. Because
And it's also about the intensity. If he can manage it for the whole 90 minutes, then yes, they can pull it off. Otherwise, Barcelona won't take long to punish. It's just like that. And especially you need to have those magic moments. It may happen that Barcelona are winning 2-1 and in the 90th minute Messi has a free kick and that's just a sad luck. But let's see what happens. What are your final thoughts on this one, Sean?
Yeah. Look, I personally think that they didn't use their pace. Manchester United suddenly, like these past few games, I don't know what's going on with their play style. They were playing for a lot of attacking when Solskjaer suddenly took over, and all of a sudden they're playing less on the pace. Maybe I think it's because of the bunch of injuries that we're getting, but I mean, credit where credit's due as well. I think Mourinho has done a terrific job, and I think it was really down to player attitude as well of what happened. But overall, I watched the game, and by Barca standards, it was poor. Just to wrap it up, by Barca standards, it was poor, and like, yeah, it's a shame we didn't counter attack more, given Busquets' pace. But overall, I'm looking forward to the second leg because weird things have happened this Champions League, and yeah, on to the next match.
Yep. Just before moving on, I would like to add that Barcelona had 48 passes in which all the Barca players had intervened, and only 2 Manchester United players had contacted the ball: Smalling's clear and Shaw's own goal. And that was 2 minutes and 14 seconds of Rondo, which was a pure work of art by Barcelona. Even though they had a poor game, it had to be mentioned. So moving on to Europa League now. It was a very interesting match against Arsenal versus Napoli. And what has happened to Ancelotti? Carlos, you are a huge Ancelotti fan.
I was really surprised at this. I love Ancelotti. I think he's a great coach. I've always liked Ancelotti. I really thought that he would bring Napoli a title after that. They've been playing so good for so long under Sarri and even under Benitez, to be fair. I really did expect Napoli, to at least reach the finals in terms of the Europa League. So I was really shocked that Arsenal played so good, especially after that Everton match. I was really, really shocked that they played so good.
Arsenal, and then they don't play well, but it's Arsenal. So honestly, if I was an Arsenal fan, I wouldn't bank on them in any match at all right now, even with the change in manager. But I have to say, Emery has done a fantastic job with Arsenal. But like, if I was a betting man, I would always not bet for Arsenal regardless, just because their performance just goes up and down all the time.
I think Napoli can turn this around because Arsenal has a bad away record, and they had a couple of moments early in the game where they could have. I don't think they had a couple of moments. Just 2 moves. I can only think of 2 moves. I think one was where Insigne kind of missed, did not hit the target, and I guess one more. They were very lucky, or rather unlucky, with the second goal, where it hit Koulibaly's leg. And I think the main difference was Torreira. He was fantastic in that game. He was so good. He helped the midfield a lot.
Yeah, coming back to Sean's point, I read a tweet on Twitter, of course, and it said Koulibaly is really good, but the best I've seen from a centre back tonight has been Mustafi sitting on the bench and not ruining everything. So that's a different kind of savageness, and that's that pretty much sums it up for Arsenal right now.
But I really hope that Napoli at least make a match of it in the second
Yep.
leg. I think it's possible with Arsenal's away record.
Yep, it is. And also Arsenal sometimes bottle up, like you see players like Ozil go missing in the big games sometimes.
But I think
So-
Arsenal and Chelsea would need it more because that's the only way, most probably. That could be maybe their only way in terms of getting Champions League football next year.
Yep.
They pull a 2017 Mourinho. Yeah.
Probably.
No, yeah. Honestly, like you said, between Arsenal and Tottenham, I don't know who are the bigger bottlers.
Yeah. It is quite, it's a routine now because you really don't see teams like, that's why I rate Ajax so much, because they never really bottle. Like, I don't know in regular football because we don't really watch that much of Dutch football, but in this season it's quite a I don't recall the word which I want to use, but yeah, it's quite phenomenal. So moving on to the next game, which is
I think the biggest game. I think the biggest game of this conversation right now, the Benfica Eintracht.
Eintracht.
Eintracht
Frankfurt.
I think that's the biggest game for us to discuss.
Yep, I'm very excited about talking about this, especially about the youngsters Jovic and Joao Felix, and
Best game of the round.
yep,
Of the
easily.
round. Easily, without a shadow of a doubt.
easily.
Uh,
And the goals weren't just regular goals; they were
they were really good
golazos.
goals. Yeah.
Apart from the penalty, yes, golazos.
Golazos. And I would like to add something to this debate. Like, youngsters these days are really written off by many players, like many of the fans, sorry. Like, if you say, especially in the case of Real Madrid, they were like, okay, we are signing Vinicius, okay, we are signing Brahim, okay, we are signing Rodrigo, okay. But where are the big names? Where are the Galacticos? And it's funny, like, they so easily forget about Iker, Raul, Roberto Carlos, even Ramos, Marcelo, and so many of the names who are so big in football's history. They all started at a young age, and at 17, 18, 19 they were already world-class players, playing for big clubs, proving themselves, even fighting for their position. And even in today's game, you can see likes of Mbappe and others like Dembele being more appreciated, maybe because of the media coverage, maybe because of some other factors. But I don't understand why the other players who have the same quality, who have the same potential, are not talked about much or are written off due to some reason.
I think, honestly, compared to last time, I think it has a lot to do with social media. Because you look back at, say, the class of '92 for Man United. You look at, who was it? I think Louis van Gaal playing with a bunch of academy players as well, right? For Ajax, yes, correct. So, and you look at it now where people are allowed to make snap decisions, put it up on Twitter, put it up on Facebook as well. I mean, it creates a lot of different pressures for youth players, I think. I mean, you mentioned a lot of youth players for Real Madrid. What do you think of Martin Odegaard? I've not heard of him since.
Martin Odegaard, if you are active on Twitter and if you follow a lot of Real Madrid pages and accounts, you will see that Martin Odegaard is surprising like every week and every week out. But the problem with Real Madrid is that there is too much of squad depth.
He's balling in the Dutch league. Like, he's playing really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like he may be, but the problem is because of social media, you don't hear about it.
Yeah, that's what I don't like the fact, because there are so many players. Like, Vinicius was ridiculed when he was about to join Real Madrid. He was ridiculed by Real Madrid fans themselves that what are we signing? And he played 2 games and everyone was like, oh, the next Pele has arrived. And that's what I don't like about them, because at least give the lad some due credit, or at least expect him to be decent. Don't just write him off. Now, everyone wants Joao Felix all of a sudden, and when Joao Felix was earlier linked to Real Madrid or other big clubs, and they were like, what are we doing? Why are we chasing youngsters? Why aren't we going for big money? Why are we saving money? Why are we becoming Arsenal? So that's
It's for me, I personally don't like that label or
Yeah.
the next who, because
Every player has a unique identity.
yeah, every player has a unique identity. I remember watching that the Man U Liverpool game live, where Martial debuted, and then 2 goals. Oh my god, that dribble to score the goal, that was a good goal. Sorry, reminiscing a bit. And then the next day the headlines were saying the next Thierry Henry, and I was just like, no, that's Anthony Martial. That's him. That you. He may play like a previous player, but then again, 2 feet, a pair of legs and a ball. If you don't look like somebody else, I don't think you're doing the right thing anyway, right? And people go on like, who's the next Messi, who's the next Ronaldo. I'm just like, no, it's who's the next better or best player. Their name. And I mean,
There's no next Ronaldo, next Messi.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
if you
to be fair, I don't think there's going to be a next Messi or Ronaldo.
yeah, it's not just about Messi or Ronaldo. Is there any next Raul? Is there any next Pele? Is there any next Maradona? Is there any next Ronaldinho? Is there any next Neymar? If you see the history,
Don't put
there has
Neymar there with
never
them.
been a player
Don't
who.
put Neymar there with them.
I'm not talking about the legacy and stuff. I'm just talking the style of play. Has ever any player in the history of football ever been reincarnated in some other form? Has it ever happened? Not only with the legends like Ronaldo or Messi. Has it ever happened with any other player? Never. So yeah, it's
Each player is unique in their own way. Yeah, they may emulate another player or find another player as their idol, but at the end of the day, you always put your own style to it. But I feel that, like, I think that the one that comes to mind the most is Mbappe, because like when I saw the transfer fee, I was just like, what? So honestly, I think it's a lot of it up to the club as well, whether they want to so-called air quotes gamble that money on the player nowadays.
yeah.
Speaking of that, I think there were Real Madrid scouts for this match.
Oh, actually, it was like every club has this.
Every club
scouts.
scouts for this match.
So
Okay.
especially the Real Madrid media would say that okay, Real Madrid were present, but they didn't mention the fact that every club was there because Jovic is also linked with Barcelona, and
I think Jovic's case, I didn't understand why both those players were clubbed in terms of this, because Joao Felix, I still understand he's still young. I don't know. It depends if it would
Jovic
still
is
be.
just 21, man. Come on.
No, I don't mean Jovic is young. I mean, Joao Felix is 19 and he has had lesser. He's done lesser to to substantiate that. Okay, he's the next very good player
Yeah,
or
but-
something like that. I think Jovic has been more consistent.
Yeah. Here's an interesting fact. Last night was the first time when Joao Felix scored in Europe.
Under 21-year-old scored a hat trick also for the
Yep.
first time, I think.
Yep.
So it's great.
But seeing that Benfica is already at top of the table, tied with Porto in Portuguese Premier Liga, and they are ahead by goal difference with 54 goals, and Porto had like 44 goals, something like that. So it's not about experience. Like if he's scoring hat trick in Europe and he's playing for a top club which is about to win the league or it's challenging for the title very closely. So I don't think it's much of a gamble if a big club goes for him, because if he's proving at that level right now, he can develop. It shows that he has that pressure to take, and if he finds the right club, then of course he can develop. And talking about Jovic, he is also on a loan right now, and
Benfica could potentially make 200 million of these two players at the end of the.
according
of
to
the
the
season.
market, yes.
Yes.
According to the market, easily.
With the ridiculous market rate that it is now, 250 million isn't. I mean, you tell me that two years ago Benfica are going to make 200 million. I'll say you're crazy. Now I'm just like, of just two players, I'll say yeah, you're crazy. Now I'm just like, yeah, if they don't get more, I think they're going to get robbed.
Yeah, here's an interesting perspective. Like the small clubs have now been catering as academies. Like earlier, the clubs used to have their own academies playing for the second tier, third tier, but now it's like the smaller clubs, like Valladolid, Dortmund, Villarreal, and other. I can't recall many teams right now, but yeah, there are a lot of teams which cater as academies for big clubs. They train them and then they even loan them out, and that's what Barcelona is doing with Ajax, and they are about to cement it.
Yeah, while I was looking for this stat, I just wanted to insert that I'm very sad that Antonio Valencia is leaving Manchester United. I just saw the news. Yeah, it's confirmed. Solskjaer just confirmed it.
Right
I was
now?
looking. Yeah, just about 2 hours ago, Solskjaer confirmed the
that's
news.
news.
MLS?
Who?
Is he leaving to MLS?
I don't know where he's leaving to yet, but I was
recently liked a post.
Herrera is also leaved, I guess. For
Herrera.
yeah,
I don't think so. I don't think so yet.
yeah. One of
He
the
was-
Manchester United players has already left. Who was it? Herrera or
Fellaini.
someone? No. The no, not Fellaini. I guess it was Herrera or someone to PSG or some other team. I don't know.
Not yet. No, I was more looking for this the youngest hat trick scorer stat where Yao Felix at 19 years and 5 months, and then going down the list, I was surprised to see Kane on it at 21 years old and 2 months, and then you have Lukaku at 21 9 months, and the most surprising name, honestly, for me was Loftus-Cheek at 22 years 9 months on the list of youngest scorers of hat tricks in Europe.
Al-Nassr is also there. Like Barcelona, I don't know why Barcelona couldn't make much out of him. He was a great player. Andre Silva is also there, and he's at 21 years and 10 months. He's a great potential, and maybe Gattuso can get the best out of him, but he doesn't really play much. And I don't know what AC Milan is doing. you know.
Andre Silva is in Sevilla now.
Yeah, he's into Sevilla now, but he's on a loan, I guess. He's not sold, so that's why. Anyways, so moving on, Villarreal versus Valencia. It was an expected result. Like Valencia won 3-1 against Villarreal, and it was a very good game by Valencia. And do you see them doing any harm to Barcelona and Copa del Rey, Carlos?
No, that they reserve all those specifics only against matches with Real Madrid. Those kind of results are only for us. We always lose or draw to Valencia, but when it comes to Barcelona, they'll roll out the carpet for them and they lose 5-0 or something. They beat us and they lost to a relegation side, and then they won against Villarreal. Like they're the Arsenal of
Spanish Arsenal.
Yeah.
Yes, Spanish Arsenal. I was gonna say that.
It's very
Yeah.
weird.
But you need to talk about Guedes and Vaz. They had a phenomenal
Guedes was
goals.
fantastic.
Like, he's having a good season. Even against Real Madrid, he scored some.
He's having a second good season. I'm
Yeah.
surprised that nobody took him.
Yeah. And he's turning out to be Valencia's one of the main guys. And that's amazing. Also, kudos to Santi Cazorla. I really like when he scores that after what all he's gone through. It's a happiness for a football fan that he's doing well.
I forgot Santi Cazorla went from Arsenal to Valencia. I was just like Villarreal, sorry. Villarreal, and I was looking at the highlights. I was just like, wait, he transferred? But there was I was just happy.
He was
for-
never expected to play again, you know.
Yeah, I was just happy for him because I remembered him leaving Arsenal, and I was just like, oh crap, that's it for him. But him being at Villarreal, I was just like, okay, I think he will still be all right.
Yeah, when he shared those pictures of his ankle, and it was too horrifying, like how the skin had been cut off from other part of his body to his ankle, and he was said, sorry,
He had an ankle injury, very bad ankle injury. He was out of the squad for almost 2 years for Arsenal, I think.
yeah, and
Then he was cut off.
the doctors had told him that even if you walk, you should consider yourself lucky because you cannot really walk with it.
And now he's playing soccer again.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that it's a phenomenal story, and I'm really happy for him that he's playing and he's scoring for Villarreal, and sadly they will be relegated, I guess. But yeah, talking about relegation, I'm really happy about Celta Vigo not being relegated because sometimes they defeat Barcelona 4-1. Anyways, so Chelsea versus Slavia. Only goal by Marco Alonso in the 86th minute. So
It was not a great game, and I guess they have very laborious performance. The only interesting part about that game, I think, is the post-match where there were more comments made by Hazard on Zidane.
yeah, Hazard and Sarri are really making some of the Real Madrid fans happy and hyped about the transfer. But sometimes it feels that, you see, it's obviously 95% of confirmed that Hazard is joining Real Madrid, but most of the times it is like Lewandowski, Aubameyang, and other players who explicitly express that they want to join Real Madrid are never signed. I don't know why.
Nothing against Real Madrid. I admire Real Madrid as well. They're a good team. But let's be honest, any player that plays good once suddenly gets linked to Real Madrid by the media anyway. So
Yeah, it's like 22 players are linked to Real Madrid, 22.
But
And right now, only in the attack, Jovic, Felix, Icardi, Mbappe, Neymar,
Kane,
Icardi, Kane, Pogba.
Lewandowski.
Lewandowski is not that strong.
I don't even know why Pogba was linked all of a sudden.
Because he said that,
Because he said it.
yeah, he himself told the media when he was with the national team that I admire Zidane, it's not the time to leave, but maybe I will leave.
He
And all
said
that
that
stuff.
he would like to be coached by him.
Yeah. And he also said that Real Madrid is a team which I admire and stuff. So,
He wants a new contract.
I must have missed that because
Yeah.
I
yeah, it was a big news.
when was it? A couple of weeks ago?
Yeah.
And he was on national duty.
Yeah.
So that was last week. Yeah, I definitely missed that. I was busy last week.
Yeah. You can have him. You can have him. We don't really want him at Real Madrid at any cost.
I don't see why with the current Real Madrid team why they want Pogba over players like Cruz and who's
Modric.
Modric and
You
would
see,
you would you consider
Even the depth
Ensis-
is like Ceballos, Valverde, Llorente, Kovacic is on loan, James
would
is
you consider Asensio a midfield player?
Asensio is more of a winger.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can play in the midfield, but he's the best at his right wing.
Yeah.
So, you're talking about Kroos. Kroos was linked by us that he will leave for, I don't know which club. That he will.
denied it, right?
Yeah, then he denied it.
I think it was PSG. I can't remember. I think I saw that.
He
I
was-
saw that piece of news
it-
as well. He did say absolutely not though,
Yeah,
because I think it might have been, as we've been discussing, just media
Yeah,
stirring
yeah,
the pot.
yeah, that's true. Maybe Bayern was linked with him, but he was linked with, return to Bayern Munich, but he denied it publicly, and that's what it is. So we have a non-Patreon question this time, and it's by Syed Naqvi on Facebook. He asks, is football better without VAR or not? Like, VAR sometimes gives wrong decisions as well. So my take is that we need technology in football, but it's not consistent. Like in a game, a particular foul will call for a VAR and it will give a penalty. But in the next game, the same case, it goes to VAR and it's not a penalty. And it's very irregular. And if you are stopping the game, if you are interrupting the rhythm of the game, then at least be sure that it is consistent. Like if 10 minutes ago, if a foul is committed in the opponent's box and you give the penalty, and in the next case, you don't even consult the VAR in the same game. So it really disrupts the rhythm.
I'm gonna be honest. Yes. Technology really needs to be used in soccer overall, especially with things like goal line technology and VAR. VAR is a brilliant thing, I find, but the problems, like you said, it just has to be ironed out where things have to be technically correct. Like things like the handball, yes, that's technically correct, but those sort of nuances has to be ironed out. And I feel that like stuff gets a bit more quote unquote obvious when things get slowed down, and I don't think the refs takes into consideration before the season where Danny Rose's handball, like his hand was there, but the distance between the shot and his hand, like no one would have been able to get their hand away from that, even if they wanted to. So, like, yeah, VAR is going to be a good thing. I mean, goal line tech, look at how it's been helping.
Yeah, I think the point he's making that Danny Rose was penalized. Okay, it was a fair penalty, I guess. Yeah, technically it was a penalty. But in the earlier match, you could see against Salah's tackle, and it wasn't even consulted, and it was at least a yellow card, if not more. So it is too inconsistent. That's the whole point.
I think, yeah, like it is inconsistent. I do agree, and I think just the problems have to be ironed out, especially with how it's being laid out. I mean, thinking back to that PSG Man U penalty in the 90th minute, right? It took what 3-4 minutes for them to decide, and I'm just like, it doesn't take that long. You have 5 people sitting in the VAR office, and one of them is an actual the head referee. Like all of them are referees as well. So I don't know why it doesn't come to a conclusion. Go tell the guy. He should have like a small. He should have a window of time. He shouldn't take that long. If you don't decide within the 30 seconds, move on, right?
Yeah,
Because you're supposed to decide on the spot anyway. The VAR is just there to assist you.
Yeah, it's like only in cases of black and white when they're 100% sure that they will give the decision, and it's in a very immature stage right now. And I think over the years we will get more experience and we will find out how it works. Yeah. Yeah, but technology is. We are definitely for the technology. Like, had it not been for the goal line technology, Juventus would not have beaten Atletico because that Cristiano's goal was hardly a centimeter in.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, it'll mature across time.
Yeah.
And definitely, I mean, VAR would definitely be needed because look at that. There was this Chelsea goal against one of the EPL teams. And did you see Jamie Carragher having a virtual VR set?
Yeah.
And he was in that position, and I'm like, yeah, the linesman job is so difficult because, I mean, Williams' entire afro was in his face.
Yeah.
He can't see the offside.
I have admired linesmen across these many years when I've been watching football. Like, even before VAR and stuff, like, most of the times, yes, they got like 3 of the 10 decisions wrong, but 7 of the times they were pinpoint particular that, okay, this is offside right now. And had it been over 1 centimeter only, they were quite clear. And it's easy for us to draw lines over the screen and say, okay, after 3 hours of match has been over and we are talking
because you can pause the
50,
frame.
Yeah, 50 minutes we are talking about, okay, let's draw the line over here, let's make it parallel, let's freeze the frame and stuff. But for the linesman, it's happening in an instant and he has to decide on the spot. So yes, we are definitely for the technology, but it
has to be
inconsistent.
ironed out.
Yeah.
They have to, I think, set it in stone with into the rules that if a step-by-step process where if it's this, you do this, and then the flow chart it out.
Yeah.
And I mean, I admire linesmen as well because there are videos on YouTube where they have those training clips and you try to spot it yourself, and I'm just like, yes, that's an offside. It ended up being not. And I've done like amateur linesmen for like university games, and you can't tell. I mean, especially if the 2 players look alike, right? I mean,
but they are wearing a different kit. But it happens.
Like they're wearing, you can see the same number, but say for example they're both around the same height, front facing you, and in the mess of things they run, and you're just like, I flag wrong players before.
Mostly, adding on to that point, there was a case like a month ago or so that the goalkeeper was coming out and the last defender then was someone else and not the goalkeeper himself, and that goal was written as offside, and journalists on social media were like, what is this joke, like, and all that stuff. Later they realized that the rule says that you have to be clear of the first defender, like the last defender, sorry. So if the goalkeeper is ahead, and then of course it's an offside because the last defender is someone else then. It's not really the goalkeeper. So like, even after so many years of journalism, so many years of writing and interacting, they still make mistakes, and it's not easy to be a linesman. And
the offside line does change.
It's very easy to it's very easy to criticize, but it's very difficult to officiate a match. That's my whole point.
I mean, speaking of officiating though, the matches that we've talked about, I mean, the Barca United match and the Juve Ajax match, the refereeing decisions were really questionable this time around. I mean, who was it? I think Vidal got a yellow card.
In every Barcelona game in Champions League, it is questionable. In every Barcelona game.
That is true. I mean, I was surprised Smalling didn't get a yellow or even something for the elbow into Messi's face. But, I mean, Busquets not getting at least a yellow in some of those situations, I was just like, well, this is a bit ridiculous. And I mean, across the board, surprisingly though, like the list of matches that we've gone today, I think out of all the referees, Michael Oliver did the best.
Yeah, probably.
Which is very bad considering the rest of them saying
Yeah.
Michael Oliver did the best.
Who are your best referees of all time?
Colina.
Colina, all right. Yeah, it's on.
Colina and I think Howard was not bad.
Yeah. I think Mark Lattenberg is a bit less talked about, but he has left for like... he left coaching for Dubai or something. Like he went for the Arab nation and stuff. He left EPL and European football.
Definitely Colina. I think he was really no nonsense. With like what I've read, I've not watched him officiate matches, but like what I've read and like highlight reels, he really was no nonsense. And yeah, Howard Webb and Mark Clattenburg, I think they've been, among all the English referees, I think that they've been the best. I don't know what we've been pulling out right now, if I'm being honest. And to say that Michael Oliver is the best among the rest right now is quite a sad situation for English refereeing.
Yeah.
I like La House in Spanish also. I think it's pronounced La House. I might be wrong.
Yep. How many of you love Martin Atkinson?
If you ever played FIFA, you would love him.
Yeah.
He's iconic. I think it'll be very difficult. Like when his audio track gets changed with somebody else's, it'll be very weird to play FIFA then.
Yeah. And we cannot end the debate without talking about Mike Dean. You really love when he celebrates the goals on the pitch and commands the players to pass the ball. And
True.
yeah, it's kind of a joyful thing to watch, and yeah, I just love that aspect of the game as well. So
I think it's really hard as an official overall. Like, I mean, you said Mike Dean celebrates goals. I mean, if you're a football fan in general and you don't celebrate goals, it's a bit weird.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, I think sort of professionalism. So if he doesn't celebrate it too much, that's great.
yeah, but it's not like he celebrates a goal of a certain team only. It's like when he sees a spectacular, he's happy. He's enjoying the game. That's it.
I mean, yeah. If you see a spectacular goal and not have a reaction,
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, like if the referee didn't have a reaction against the Ronaldo bicycle kick last season against Juventus, it was because not a lot of cameras capture it, but of course the referees also have some emotions like, whoa, what a goal.
Yeah, to have a first-person view on the pitch. Like,
Yeah.
If you don't get a reaction out of like any sort of spectacular goal,
Yeah,
I mean,
10 meters away, like you could see Zidane on the sidelines and the other coaches and the whole stadium going
Yeah.
crazy. Of course the referee is also a human being.
True.
So, any last comments, Carlos?
Last comments. Just looking for the next set of
Games?
UCL matches.
Actually, before leaving, we should talk about the next games, which are really interesting. In La Liga, it is Sevilla versus Real Betis, which is a huge game, and I think Sevilla will win. I don't know why. I love Real Betis, but I predict for Sevilla win or a draw. And then we have another game in EPL, which is a league decider for Liverpool versus Chelsea. And
Decider, but it's important for them.
it's kind of a decider if the
Chelsea
pattern
can
follows.
upset-
Yeah,
Chelsea
if
can
Chelsea
upset.
upsets Liverpool, then it's kind of a decider only.
I hope Chelsea win.
I don't think so either. Both Liverpool and Man City will be perfect for the rest of this thing. I think
Of
both,
course, they won't be, but still, it creates a pressure and all the stuff.
True.
Yeah. So, but if Chelsea wins and Liverpool slip, they will focus more on Champions League. That's pretty obvious.
I mean, Manchester City, they've got an easy tie with Crystal Palace. Well, I wouldn't say any tie with any team apart from those going to be relegated will be easy, especially in the EPL. But I mean, with what Crystal Palace has been in their form, I think Manchester City as well have a good game ahead of them.
Yeah, that's true. Before leaving, let's just give some credit to Wolves, who have been amazing in EPL this season. Like,
Wolves.
really amazing.
Wolves have been amazing. When I saw us tie with FA Cup, I was just like, right, this is going to be really tough.
Yeah.
And I was just like, if we lose, I wouldn't even be surprised. We lost as Man U, and I was just like, all right, yeah, fair enough. I mean, Wolves are what on the table right now?
Like
8th behind
7th,
Leicester, right? And you have the 6, you have Leicester, and then the Wolves. I was just like, they're ahead of Everton,
Yeah.
which is
I think Wolves deserve a chance in Europe. Like, maybe not this season, but in the next season, I would hope for them to qualify for at least Europa League.
Wolves is the Jorge Mendes platform for next sales.
It is, of course, it is. It's like it's again one of the academy teams which I talked about earlier in the podcast. And yeah, interesting fact that Nuno
Valente?
the coach of Wolves was Mourinho's second choice goalkeeper in Porto, the side which won the Champions League in 2002. Anyways, any last comments before we end the podcast, Sean?
thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
I'm just happy to be talking about football.
Yeah,
with
we would love to have you every week, and
Yeah, I'll be glad.
more the merrier.
As long as I'm free, I'll be glad to be back.
Sure.
Same here. Yeah, thanks for having me for the 4th week now.
Yeah,
Yes. so
you're
it's
my
nice.
partner in crime, permanent partner in crime, and
Not that kind of partner.
yeah,
I mean, I don't get to talk about football that much, if I'm being honest, being here. But yeah, I'm just glad to be able to talk about it now.
yeah, because we don't really put it down to one club or two clubs. It's more of a general football discussion all across Europe, and that's why we call it Football the Europa, because we talk about Europe in general. And it's pretty good to have you all here, and thank you for listening, and be updated, be listening. Please subscribe to our channel and like and share this video. And if you have any questions for the next podcast, kindly comment it down in our Facebook page and we'll answer them.
Just one last thing is,
Yeah, sure.
I wanted to thank, I believe the name of the person who put up the question was Syed Naqvi. So thanks for the
Yeah,
question.
Syed
with regards
Naqvi,
to
thank you
war.
so much. And
And we hope to see more questions.
yeah, more questions from more football fans, and we would love to answer them. So thank you for listening. Adios.